Good day, everyone. Wow, wow, wow. I just tried to go live from the wrong account. We're late today. It's just that's how it's happening. Welcome. There's Ruby. What a time. Hey, Ruby. Oh gosh, going live on Instagram is hard.
I am just dead. I cannot handle it. Us today, wow.
You said you are.
Well, I thought it was. Hold on, I'm gonna try to set up here. I thought it was funny that I was on the wrong account because you were on the wrong account.
Our wrong accounts wanted to be together.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. Anyway, so what I let the other people on the other account know by accident was that today and this week we're going to talk about our experiences with our bodies, and we're going to share, where did we come from and where do we go? And yeah, and just like what that experience has been like. So something that, again, that I think is really important to mention, especially when talking about bodies and when talking about diet culture, is that there are systems in place, so many, that keep us disconnected from our bodies. And diet culture is racist. It's fat phobic. My story will not be like everyone else's story. You may resonate with this. You may not resonate with this. I'm a very privileged individual, and so that is a whole part of my background. Always having access to the food that I want and that I think that I need. Yeah, I hold a lot of privileges when it comes to my body, so that's an important first point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just real quick too. I'm tuning in from my car. I'm the reason we are late today.
That doesn't
I
feel.
had a little lunch and learn for way of being.
I love it. What'd you talk about at your lunch and learn today?
Okay, we talked about leveling up your life.
Yes.
Stay with me.
Okay.
With self-care being for professional success. And the biggest piece of that is here's the thing. Time plus energy equals living the life of your dreams.
Okay.
So we talked about energy management and taking self-care and instead calling it energy care, because that's what it really is managing and being efficient and caring with our energy so that we get to do what we want to do, and also so that we get to more presence and energy. You good?
I missed the part that you said after that self-care is energy care.
Yeah, seeing self-care as energy care instead, because ultimately we're just learning to better manage our energy, and what we call self-care should be things that give us energy, but often because self-care has been commodified, it is not always things that give us energy. It's just things that we think we should be doing to look cool and be cute and I don't know, do magic in our
Okay.
lives. But
And also, if we think of like money as often an energetic exchange, not only is self-care as a commodification costing me quite a bit of energy.
so we talked about making, and this is the last little piece I'll share. I'm going to put my headphones in too. But we talked about making an energy budget, just like you would make a money budget.
I
And
love
consider
it.
that you have $100 a day of energy. How do you spend and replenish it?
I love that. I love that. Ruby, what's something that you've done today that has replenished energy and as well as um, expended energy?
Something that, something that gave me energy was the smoothie for the road that I had on the way to my lunch and learn.
I love this movie game that's happening.
Something that took energy was, presenting
Mhm.
in front of a group of 10 people.
I love that.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's energy that you enjoy spending in that way.
Yes, and it
Mhm.
doesn't mean it doesn't spend my energy just because
Mhm.
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, okay, this morning I woke up without my alarm, which was absolutely lovely. That gave me energy. Also, I masturbated first thing this morning, and that was a delight.
I love
Before I
that.
even
That
let
is
my
an
dog
energy
into the
giver.
room. It was, yes, thank you. And then also, you know what? Okay, so it takes energy. I've made it through my inbox this morning, my email inbox, which is it takes my energy because for multiple reasons, just because it's always there and it always is like looming. And so it's like I feel like I gave tomorrow's Kate energy by dealing with it today, but also today that took energy.
Yeah, I love that you say that because that's really like that's the bigger picture, right? Is are we getting to the end of our weeks in the deficit and then that's where burnout comes from. But like
Hmm.
you can do something later today to offset some of that and then tomorrow though, you're not going to have to spend email budget, which email in particular doing it every day costs more than doing it at once. For some reason,
I
the
agree.
money, the value does not add, it's not congruent.
No, no, because it's always just people wanting something from me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, thank you for sharing.
Absolutely. Thank you for
I
sharing.
I want to know about your body story. And my first question is, can you remember the first time you realized you had a body?
No, and I have been in, I started doing ballet when I was like 3. And I think that because of that, I've always had a very heightened sense of my body. And I don't mean that like negatively or positively. I mean it more neutrally in just that I've, I feel like my whole life has been about my body. Hmm. And that from a very young age, I've been um, tuned into it. And again, oftentimes in a negative way, oftentimes in a more positive way. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have an answer for that.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that from a very young age, I have been in tune to seeing it and manipulating it.
Yeah, and that was my next question is like, can you remember one of your like first memories of wanting to change something about your body?
Yes, I can. And it comes from, for me, it came from like some magazines. So we used to go to the beach, and one year this lady came to the beach with us. I forget who it was, but something that she wanted to do for us was buy us some like she took me and my sister maybe, or maybe just me, like to the gas station and or the grocery store or something, and she was like, buy yourself a magazine, or maybe she bought us a magazine or something. But I remember specifically she bought Prevention magazine, and Prevention magazine is like I because we were going to the beach, I think she thought it'll be fun for the girls to read like I don't know a trashy magazine or something. Um, and it's one of those like little ones, and it's like it's really the prevention. It seems to be the only thing that it's about is preventing you from getting fat, which is that's what I think the whole magazine is about. And I remember there being an article about blueberries. And that article about blueberries has stuck with me. So the article about blueberries was about, and there was also an article about yogurt and about how both blueberries and yogurt like help you burn belly fat. And those two articles have stuck with me like nothing else. And I went through periods of my life eating pints of blueberries at a time, not even enjoying the taste of blueberries, but just eating blueberries. And then the same thing with yogurt. I went through just a wild yogurt phase, thinking that that was gonna also burn belly fat. And then when I did my very first yoga teacher training, part of that was at an all-girls school here in Nashville, and I went to an all-girls private Episcopalian preparatory high school in Richmond, Virginia. And we were in like the gym of the school for my yoga teacher training. And on, it must have been like a health class or something, but there were all of these index cards pinned up that were like, it must have been after Thanksgiving or something. There are all these things about like, how do you stay healthy during Thanksgiving? And I had a total meltdown with my entire teacher training because that entire board was it was like my whole life was just like on that board. It was all of the rules about food. It was like the don't eat the dark meat because the dark meat something about it. Don't eat this instead. One of them was like fill up on salad before eating the Thanksgiving, and then that way you won't be hungry for dessert or something. And I just like, yeah, I had like a total meltdown, and that made me feel so sad. Like knowing that there was a classroom led by an adult, um, with a classroom full of young women, probably between the ages of 13 and 18. And that's what they were talking about in their health class. And what I know about health and my experience with my body and my relationships is that they have been the thing that has done the most harm to all of that is messaging like that. And it breaks my heart thinking that adults are giving that information to children, that we're setting them up. I wonder what the boys' school is like. What were they learning about health? What's healthy for them? You
About
know?
yeah, in preparation for Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Um, I okay. First, can you speak to like one of the first times you remember? And you talked about the blueberries and the yogurt, but was that kind of like one of your earliest memories of like changing your diet as a diet? And then can you talk just about your history with diets?
Mhm. Sure. Um, so a main like a big thing that I know is that so my mom is a very petite woman, and then I look like my dad's side, and all of the women on my dad's side, we all look exactly the same, and then my mom is this little like petite woman. And so throughout my life, I remember saying like, for instance, one time I remember asking mom like, well, I mean, okay, also like we grew up in the 90s, which was like the low fat phase. And so I feel like all of a sudden everything on the shelves was like everything's low fat. And then so I had probably started reading magazines like Prevention at that time. I remember hiding them under my pillow because I knew that my mom would not like to know that I was reading that. I would hide them. And um like, I don't know, one time I remember getting like a salad or something. I was on my way to I was going to choir practice and we had to stop at the grocery and get a salad. And I remember I picked out what I wanted and my mom was like, "Honey, that won't be enough calories for you to like sustain you throughout the next like 4 hours of choir practice that you have." And so I remember being like, "Well, this is what I want, but if it's not enough calories, that means that's a good thing that it's not enough calories." You know, like I remember thinking this is a good thing that this isn't enough calories because I'm trying to have less of those. And then like, you know, I remember my mom switching. She was a Coca-Cola gal from North Carolina. I remember when she switched from regular Coca-Cola to Diet Coke. And then yeah, like and we didn't have a lot of soda in the house, but like it was stuff like that. I remember like everything switching like that. And like once I learned to, I don't know, once I learned to do all of that kind of like quietly behind closed doors so that no one would notice. Um, Gosh, I have been on all of the diets, I feel like. Um, it evolved. Like, okay, I remember in high school, okay, this one girl ended up figuring out that she had celiac. And so then she lost a lot of weight very quickly because her whole diet changed really quickly because she had celiac and everything had to change. Well, every other girl I remember saw that and was like, great, we're also all gluten free as well. And so then all of the girls at school went like gluten free. And I remember being like, what is gluten? What is happening? And what are you all doing? And by going gluten free, all that meant was that a bunch of girls just stopped eating. And there was one girl who wrote in Sharpie on her right hand, which like you would go through the lunch line. It was like her dominant hand to like get food. She would just write flat out write no in Sharpie on it to as a reminder for her to stop getting stuff. And so like with a collection like that, I don't I don't remember like the order of operations in that space. It was
Yeah.
just toxic.
Yeah, and
But
it's
I
so
did
interesting.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's so interesting because I feel like anytime for me, anytime I get wrapped up in some sort of kind of disordered pattern, the timeline feels really like wishy-washy. Just feels like a tangled mess of like toxicity.
Mhm. Yeah, like I got myself a YMCA membership so that I could go to the Y before school. And like something to know is like I did ballet for like 15 years, like, you know, 3 to 18. I was doing that every day. I ran track in high school. Like I was always like really active. And all of those things never, just like we were talking about yesterday, how everything counts. To me, nothing counted. Nothing counted. Nothing like, but also like everything counted. I was just micromanaging
You
everything.
needed to count everything and nothing counted for enough.
Yes. And oh my gosh, I remember there was this one girl who I became friends with who is very thin. And one time Prevention Magazine told me like eat what your skinny friends are eating and then like you'll be skinny too. That was the expert article. Yes, which is another really important thing about the magazines. There's a magazine here in Nashville, a fitness magazine here in Nashville, and they have had, for instance, one time they had and listen, there's nothing wrong with being a blogger. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being a blogger. Bloggers are not um, experts in
Science.
um, science. Yeah, totally that. And they're not um, qualified to give advice, especially this magazine did an article on intermittent fasting. And for somebody like me, what that shows up as is anorexia, not eating for days at a time. And so there is a
especially if there is like a local magazine who maybe these people are out in your communities. There is a responsibility that journalists have to people who read. Leadership is a responsibility, not a privilege. That I just really want to nail that one home again. That is really very important to me. Um, I went off on that and I forgot your question.
It's okay. I want to hear about like how in your journey you've mentioned dancing and being really active, and then like noticing when diet culture started to like seep in and how that made like changes in the household, and then how you started to make different changes. Um, was there some sort of dynamic between your body and your food, and like what was that like, and was there like a feeling there, or like what was the relationship between like your movement and your food and being in your body at that point? And then I want to hear about like what switched and like what was like the change, but like kind of like uh DCK, diet culture Kate, and then ADCK after diet culture Kate.
Yeah, okay. DCK is like for instance, there's a picture of me. It was probably like freshman year of high school, and there was like a dance outside. It was called portico, and we would all. I don't know. I don't even know what the word portico means. Is that like a porch? Okay. Anyway, so we had this dance, and I remember going to it, and I wore a black t-shirt because I had read that black is a slimming color. So I had worn like a black. It was like like it was like tighter than this one, but it was just like a black t-shirt, and all of my friends had worn these like really fun things. So that was always like a I have never felt cute and fun in my clothes because of my body, which means like, so I have never felt cute and fun as, um, like my personality is like cute and fun, but like who I am not cute and fun. That was like a DC Kate kind of thing. Like I am not cute and fun. Um,
Because I have to wear a black t-shirt in order to look slim.
Yes, that is not cute and fun. That is exhausting. Yeah, and I like can see that picture like in my head. Like I'm taller than all of them, and um, they're all. I just felt like ginormous, and and that is fat phobia. Just to like really name that. That is fat phobia. It is oppressive. It is harmful. Um, and Yeah, I mean, I remember I used to have so much indigestion. Like I was always uncomfortable. Um I was always like noting like where are the bathrooms? I remember having like a lot of gas all the time. I was just like I felt bloated often. Um I don't necessarily remember feeling I do not remember ever feeling hungry and then eating because of that. That was not hunger and food did not go together to me. Um, a lot of probably just like yeah, up and down like mood swings and all of that, and then by the time I hit college, I was doing like I mean, I went through a phase, Ruby, where I was buying up a friend's Adderall and taking Adderall every day in college, even though I did not need Adderall to study. And the only reason I was using it, I was abusing Adderall because I would take it and then go to the gym and then work out for hours. I would be on the elliptical for hours. And I've always been a little bit into weightlifting. Like I've always liked to feel strong, but then I would spend a shit ton of time in the weight section. And part of that was because that's also where the boys were. The boys were in the weight section, and I wanted to prove to them like I can do just as much as you can do. The body stuff for me has been about the patriarchy always. Um, and then I started working in an office and I was like sitting all day. And that made my brain feel kind of wild because I was like, oh my God, I got to get out of here. Um, that was also coupled with the fact that I really hated my boss at the time. Anyway, Um, but I remember hitting just like, I just got tired of it. It started to all just make me so mad. Um, I was spending so much money on like diet pills and like a bunch of shit like that. I was the supplement, the like creatine and shit. I was taking that. It would make me feel jittery. I have passed out from taking pre-workout before. Um, I have thrown up from taking pre-workout before. Um, and you know, I did the whole 30 the and that launched me down. Okay, so there's an eating disorder called orthorexia, and like a lot of people are familiar with anorexia and bulimia, both of which, like one time I went on this trip, yeah, and uh, the leader of the trip told my mom that I was like throwing up my food, and then she made me go to the doctor, like my pediatrician. Oh, and they thought I had acid reflux. Cute. So I was on some acid reflux medicine for a while. And then when my parents got divorced, one of my doctors put me on some antidepressants. And that was a real win because I lost a lot of weight on antidepressants. Um, so anyways, yeah, I did the whole 30 and um there's a book called It Starts with Food. And I read that book. And yes, I did the whole 30. Yes, it sent me down an entire rabbit hole of orthorexia, which is this like obsession with being healthy. This is one that is very normalized, especially in our industry of fitness and wellness. Um, it's like an obsession with health foods. And it looks like Whole Foods, honestly.
It looks like us circa 2012 to 16.
Yes, and everyone being chill with it. Everyone being totally cool with it. Like how many I have gone to, whatever, it doesn't matter. But that was when doing the whole 30, um, all of that like intestinal stuff that I was having though, like went away because I was just eating, I had stopped taking all of the stuff, and I was just eating like no, I was eating normal foods. And by normal, I just mean that's not a fair word to use. I was eating like whole foods, not Whole Foods the grocery, just like actual food instead of trying to supplement food with supplements.
Yeah, like you couldn't have pre-workout shakes on the whole 30. So you had to
Mm-hmm.
cut all of that out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um.
You were eating meats, fruits, vegetables, nuts.
Yeah. The thing that would give me the most indigestion is when I wanted something sweet and I would eat a bunch of nuts and dried fruit. And then my belly would be like, oh my God. And I'd be like, I know, honey, and all I wanted was something sweet. So I'm going to gorge on these other things. So that was my experience with, and I probably did the whole 30 like 4 times, you know. I would just do it over and over. And the truth is because I was probably losing. I had stopped weighing myself at that point, but I could tell that I looked thinner. And then probably yeah, and all the messaging around me was like, "Wow, you look so healthy. Your body looks like she feels good." Things like that. Or one time or like, "Oh wow, like something about like making gains in the gym." And it was like, I'm actually probably not making gains in the gym. Probably I just have less body fat content right now, and you think I'm making gains in the gym. So you're praising me for the hard work I'm doing when really I've just lost whatever. Yeah,
So
and you know, that is the same time when movement got to be um, more fun, because I was like, fuck all this. This is just, I don't know what to tell anybody. This is just what my body looks. These are the movements that I like to do. These things make me feel good in my body. This doesn't make me feel good in my body. Um, I just got tired. I got pissed and tired. And finally, I was like, taking all that back then. I want this
And
time back to myself.
and did you own the gym already?
Yeah, the gym, not by the time I had done my very first Whole30. When I first opened the gym, I was a big proponent of the Whole30 because what it had done for me, or like given me, it really gave me access to an actual intuitive eating. And um yeah, I felt like I was able to make more like empowered choices in my food, which is a big deal. Natural Nutrition Partners, oh my gosh, why am I blanking on her name? I want to call her Haley, but that's like not right. Anyways, a woman at National Nutrition Partners used the language of empowered eating instead of intuitive eating, and I really like that. Just really resonates for me, being an empowered eater instead of um, necessarily an intuitive eater.
Well, I think that yeah, like intuitive can be confusing until you have clear access to your intuition, but empowered has pretty clear messaging and autonomy, and it means you have tools and resources and availability.
Mhm.
Love that.
and and it feels like the difference for me for empowered feels like I know about my food. I feel in relationship with my food.
And you're the person making choices around your food, not messaging or other people or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And the intuitive eating movement, which I think is really important, and I know a lot of people in that world, and I think it's great. And I think just like really, yeah, I think it also keeps some people out because it feels kind of like another
Yeah.
culture. It's a whole nother thing.
So you got really tired
Hmm.
and you kind of said fuck it.
Hmm.
And then what started to happen?
One thing that started to happen, so like one thing, and also like being all of a sudden like being a gym owner, I was like, I can't put on to these people what has been put on to me. So how am I going to shift my way of being into being a more responsible leader? To be honest, that is a huge thing for me. When I have to, when I'm kind of like affronted with my own stuff because of how I don't want to harm someone else, that is often like a damn, damn, that's been put onto you in a very unfair way. Um, and so what shifted for me is that like, I mean, today and right now, I've never felt better in my body. I have never felt more comfortable. I feel so cute. I feel like I'm allowed to, not even allowed to, I've always felt allowed to buy what I want. I feel empowered to put clothes on my body that make me feel fun, and they make me feel like sexiness is never something that has felt safe for me to embody, and something that has shifted for me is just because I'm wearing what I'm wearing doesn't give anyone else the right to do or say anything. And what I know about myself is like, I'm not necessarily going to like stop that behavior on the front end, but what I have now is access to like standing in my power and looking somebody straight in the face and saying, do not speak to me like that. And so like that practice has helped me feel safer in my body. Um, So yeah, and like now when I move, I get to go like, what am I feeling? What does this feel like in my body instead of like how many calories am I burning? Or like, are we doing this to um so that in a bikini I'll look good? I'm like, fuck a bikini. I don't give a shit about I'm not living my life for bikini season anymore. That is over. That is so hard over. And also,
I'd take the
also,
bikini season right now, though.
oh my God. Tomorrow, maybe we should do our haul in our bikinis and just call it bikini season. I have a small heater in my room. I'll just turn it on.
I'm here for it.
I'm
I'll
so
tell y'all
here
about
for
my
it.
body story from my bikini in my
I
head.
love that. Yeah, like I don't know, I get to have more, I just feel more fun now. And if somebody says something to me about my body now, like I don't know, a big thing for me this year is that like I don't have to let happen to me a bunch of shit that has happened to me in the past. I am have grown up a lot and I no longer have to be quiet about ways in which somebody makes me feel uncomfortable or even like and I've gotten a lot of practice in this because of being a leader with the gym. So like it even in a class, like I remember one time we were doing some like inner thigh work and uh this gal said something about bikini season about how she loves it because bikini season or something, and I stopped the whole class and I was like, we need to talk about why we're doing this movement because it's not for that. It like, and I'm not saying there's anything, you do you, my gal. If this works for you because of that, like that's on you, but I am not going to let this whole class fly and think that we are here to get skinnier looking legs for bikini season. Like, do whatever you want. I am all for that. And I am not going to let that be the larger understanding of why we're here.
Yeah, because you're responsible for the space.
Hmm. Yeah. And so I've had a lot of, and in that moment, that saying something like that both feels responsible for the space and responsible for me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, saying things like that actually causes someone like me harm. I understand that you don't understand that, or maybe you aren't there yet, or maybe like whatever. I don't know why, but why you don't know that, but you obviously don't know it, or it hasn't impacted you, or maybe you don't care about this, and that's okay. But I'm telling you that because we're in a room together, you care about this now when you're here. And you don't say things like that in this space. Yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
I've pulled people out of classes before and been like, hey, listen, like I totally get where you're coming from. And I wanted to tell you that, like, you actually don't have to talk about that here, or you don't have to. One time there was this woman who was just really talking shit about herself in the mirror. And I pulled her over to the side and I was like, hey, like, you actually don't have to, you don't have to feel that way here if you don't want to. Like, is there a way I can help you kind of like put that down? And she was like, oh, well, I mean, I'm at a gym. I thought everybody at gyms talked about that. And I was like, my experience is that everybody else does, and we don't. And because it makes me feel shitty, and I don't want to feel shitty. So I don't want you to either.
And this is my
Like,
gym, and we're not going to talk about this.
yeah, and there are rules here, and for really specific reasons. And so like I have had a lot of practice of that over the years in um advocating for both myself and then also for the plethora of folks that I know who have been in the same space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you've come a long way.
Mm-hmm.
And what I really hear, and I resonate with, and I'll talk more about tomorrow too, is like we have a shared like responsibility. We just like take things seriously. And since we found ourselves here in like the business of telling people's bodies what to do, we're like, well, we're responsible for this whole conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And that responsibility has really like offered a lot of healing. And I would love to hear like how what like how would you describe like where you are, like you said, like you feel the best in your body that you've ever felt. What under the understanding that we're never finished, where are you now? Like, is there anything that like still comes up, or like, is there a hang up, or like a second, like moment when you notice a second thought, or like, yeah, just like, what's it like now processing through? Because those kinds of things, these stories that we have are so deeply embedded because they're literally from the time we are born. So yeah, what's that like now?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so something that I have considered is, my body hasn't gone through a change, a physical change in quite some time. Um, and I mean like my weight has not fluctuated in quite some time. And like for instance, I have not had a baby, and I hope that I have put some practices into my life that if and when my body does go through some changes, like I have not had like an injury and like that. So I kind of like look forward to seeing how that relationship evolves, and I do think that if and when my body goes through some changes, um, how that relationship will shift. Like even LOL, what I'm realizing now is that I'm 31. I read some stupid ass BuzzFeed article about how Gen Z, what do millennials do that Gen Z thinks is really old. So right now I'm really like feeling, I've never quite felt like, wow, there's a younger generation who thinks I'm really old until now. And so like I think that that's something. Um, for me, it doesn't seem to be like a wrinkle thing. I've always kind of loved the idea of wrinkles and about how they're kind of like a map to your face. I think that's kind of like a sweet thing, like a treasure map kind of. But yeah, I know that it will shift, and I know that in times when I feel really out of control, food is a way that I quickly go to for control because it doesn't involve anyone else, and also because I can hide things. I learned a big shift for me was stop hiding the food that I eat, and or stop hiding. Like where there is hiding, there's some kind of shame involved. And so I I felt a responsibility to stop hiding, um, because of shame, and because I feel a responsibility to my shame and then also other people's shame
Mm-hmm.
because it's exhausting. Shame is, and we could do it less to each other. And in order for me to do it less to other people, I have to do it less for myself. So now there's a lot more. I feel now like I have less answers. I'm like, I don't know. What's that like for you now? And that feels very nice.
Mm.
Hmm.
Yeah, like the knowing of yourself creates an opening for other people to have a different experience.
Hmm. And also for them to be where they're at now. I have had some friends in the past who I love dearly, who also though are like always pushers. And I know something about me is that I push and I do it. I only do it because I care. And also what I know from experience is that that does not always feel nice. And when I shut down when somebody's pushing me, that's not good for me because then I'm in like a shame space. And so I don't want to push people into kind of like a shame shutdown.
Mm-hmm.
um I don't want to be that person. And so yeah, and also like somebody shutting down doesn't get them to do what I think they should be doing. So hello.
You can watch Kate's video on control 2 days ago if you're curious more about this conversation.
Yeah. So yeah, so now I'm able to go to learn more. I'm even able to learn more about diet culture now, to learn more about um, why somebody might have disordered eating, why somebody might be in an eating disorder space. Like, yeah, I'm much more open now to other people's experience. Mm-hmm.
How would you describe your relationship with your body today in 3 words?
Okay. The pressure.
You know
Can I
I love
have
stuff like this.
can I have 3 phrases?
Great.
Okay, so on the path of integration is one. I feel like I can feel my body becoming less compartmentalized and in boxes. Those boxes seem to be kind of like opening up and engaging more. Um, I feel I even feel like my body is becoming more of herself because I don't compartmentalize all of those pieces. And also I feel more access to fun. I just like can have more fun. Like, because now it's like food can be fun. Um, Food can be fun, drinking can be fun, um, movement can be fun, more things can be fun now because they are not aligned with some rules. I also feel more well rested and I also have significantly less indigestion.
Amazing.
Yes. And that maybe
Wow.
feels like an integrated thing. Like my body is working better now, I feel.
Yeah. Okay, I have one more thing.
Okay.
Tell us your 3 favorite things about yourself today. 3 things you love.
I love that leadership to me has always felt like a responsibility. I love um I love that I am willing and able to speak up on behalf of um, many things that are often not societally or socially the right thing to speak up about. Um, and I mean that in about a plethora of things. And um, and I also love that like I'm willing to pivot and willing and able to shift. I feel I feel really grateful that that is like just been like a practice of mine. Like checking in, is this working? No. Can we shift? Yes. And then just doing it. Making amends where I need to make amends and moving forward. Mhm. I like
Amazing.
those things about myself.
Yeah, I love those things about you too.
Thanks, Susie.
Are there any wrap up things you want to say?
Um, A few things, I think. A big thing for me that is a shift in my relationship with my body has been that we're on the same team. I'm on this, me and my body are on the same team. That phrase is a big shift for me. And then, I always feel, I guess inside me there's always like baby Kate, little Kate, and I feel like a deep responsibility to her. And oh, that kind of makes me sad. Yeah, or maybe not sad, it just feels kind of like tender, but like I think that's really important. Like we have this bigger responsibility to um like kids and to ourselves. Like we deserve that kind of we deserve all the things that we think that our kids should have gotten. And in order for our kids to get it, we have to give it to ourselves. And even if that means unlearning, think about how many years it took me to learn how to do diet culture. It's going to take that plus years to learn how to undo that and then put better things into place for that. And I think that we need to do that. I think everybody needs to do that so that we won't have a high school full of young girls at a bougie ass 80 grand a year school learning a bunch of girls learning how to eat blueberries. That is such bullshit. I cannot even wrap my brain around that shit. Um and then also um movement is never punishment. Movement should never be used as punishment. It shouldn't be used for punishment in sports. Um it shouldn't be used for punishment ever. It shouldn't be used for punishment no matter the gender of anyone. My point is it's not okay for boys either. Um, and also fuck the binary. And then also I had one that a phrase that is been a big shift for me. If I remember it, I'll share it.
If you remember it, put it in a reel for us.
Okay. My reels from my bed.
Thank you for sharing.
Thanks for asking me all sorts of good questions, Ruby.
I love getting to hear from you and your experience.
I know this has been fun for us too, huh?
Yeah, I always feel so connected and just like also like less alone, like hearing from you. And I'm excited to talk about my stuff because like we do have a lot of similarities that I feel like we don't sit around and like unpack all the time, like the similarities of our past. Yeah, it's just really beautiful. And like even as listening to you talk, yeah, it's like we get so much out of this. I'm like, this is a healing experience.
I know,
To
right?
be able to like listen to you speak feels like healing for me.
So glad
Ugh,
that is
yeah.
something that we can give to each other.
What a gift. And also like that's like why we want to do the self-study program.
Wrapping it back around to the self-study program.
I feel like
Yeah.
every time we talk on here at the end I'm like, and that's why we want
you to join the self-study program. Yeah, but truly. Yeah, absolutely. Because we can evolve. We can grow up. We can intentionally grow up on purpose. And it is necessary and important work to do. And I don't say that to shame anybody into it. If now is not the time for you, that like I absolutely trust you in your capacity. And God, I hope that our generation actively does better on purpose.
Yeah. So, okay. And something else real quick that I do want to say is like, if you've been thinking about doing the self-study program, we do not want the cost to be a barrier for you. Like the cost is what it is because of the effort that we put in and because Kate and I want this to be our full-time job.
Also, I haven't even told you this, but I am going to interrupt you. I have gotten an email from a woman who came to our leadership retreat years ago on a scholarship, and she has offered a scholarship to the self-study program.
So wow,
Yes.
we have a scholarship available, and also we are just like willing and ready to like meet you where you are with what you need. If it feels like the right time for you to join this kind of thing, if you feel ready for it, don't it's like don't let the money part be like the barrier part. Like reach out to us and we'll talk about it and like
And we will ask you to make an investment. One
totally.
thing that we know is that making an investment, an energy, like that is energetically, like you spend your time making money and then you pay for this thing. That's energetically giving back to yourself. And part of what we do know is that it will help you, it will support you in staying and doing the program. And
the point of that though is that like just talk to us, right? Like don't let it be a thing that you write off because you've decided on your own that you think you're ready for it, but like it's not for you. Please reach out to us. That's all I mean by that.
Totally.
Yeah. Thrilled. I'm so excited, and it's now like in like 5 weeks.
Oh my God. I can't wait. I absolutely can't wait.
Thank you again for sharing your story.
Thanks for having me, Ruby.
I love you.
I
You
love you
had
too.
me to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for being here today too.
Okay, I love you.
I
Goodbye.
love you. I'll see you tomorrow.